What's good, y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So, as I'm sure you've probably guessed already, at the time of this recording, it's officially release day for Part 1 of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's official DLC, the Teal Mask. And naturally, like the impatient young soul that I am, I have already beaten the DLC. I recorded literally the entirety of my original experience so that I could share it with you guys. The original plan was for me to do kind of a storytime let's play hybrid, much like I did for my Shinx solo run. However, that kind of fell through. Earlier on in the recordings, I did start to kind of do a little bit of commentary here and there, and it was kind of hard for me to do it consistently given the fact that there was noise in the background from me and stuff like that, so after a while I just kind of started to give up. There's also the fact that when I was doing commentary in the earlier sections, I was using the wrong mic, so that definitely didn't help. By the time that I figured that out, I kind of thought to myself, you know what, maybe we don't need live commentary all that bad. And so, I didn't do any commentary. And so, I went ahead, made the executive decision, and went ahead and turned this into a 100% storytime spectacle with yours truly. Right now, I am only recording the intro, so I have no idea exactly how long this video is going to be, but I hope we have fun nonetheless. Okay, I think I've yapped just enough. Why don't we start going ahead and talking about my experience with the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the Teal Mask. Thank goodness, much like Sword and Shield's DLC, the moment that you boot up the game, they make it very obvious where you need to go. Your teacher Jacques hits you up and is like, hey, crazy thing, out of the thousands of people that attend this school, you have been hand-selected to come take this trip to the land of Kitakami. Which is an absolutely infuriating thing for him to say, by the way, because I paid for this trip, so I'm going on this damn trip. Naturally, there was no reason for me to waste any time, and I made my way right back to the academy where I ran into Miss Thang here. I actually started to speak my mind a little bit here because her eyes are an absolutely insane color when you actually get a glance at them, but because of the mic quality, I'm not even gonna play that for you. But just know, I was outwardly very suspicious of this person. Anyway, these two are yapping back and forth for a hot minute before they casually bomb drop the fact that Blueberry Academy, the school that she teaches at, that we're going to be visiting in the second part of the DLC, is literally located in the Unova region. You know, the region that might possibly contain remakes for the games that we've been dreading for the last, 2 years. Yeah, no, we're just gonna casually just stroll on over there while we're playing the second part of the DLC. Okay then, awesome. Anyway, after that little casual mind explosion, she goes ahead to tell us that she's gonna be supervising for both our school and her school for this trip. She herself happens to be super curious about the terrestrial phenomenon that's happening in the land of Kitakami and wants to go investigate that a little bit. Obvious bad guy is kind of obvious. After yapping along for Shinx knows how long, the teachers remember that I actually exist and they update my phone with the Kitakami Pokedex. Miss Breyer here actually does go on to tell me that I actually was chosen for this trip by lottery, which pisses me off even more because no, I didn't. Why didn't you just tell me that my mom paid for this trip or something? Why do we have to... A lottery? That's so lame. I became the strongest trainer in this region in under a month, and you can't just tell me that I was deserving of going on this trip to the land of Kitakami to see its culture and to see what's going on over there? Alright, cool, whatever. She then goes on to tell us, a random child, about a book that her ancestor wrote regarding Terrapagos. Don't know why she did that, and what it has to do with Kitakami, because it doesn't have anything to do with Kitakami, but whatever. After that little dialogue, we gather up our 4 random NPC classmates and we're ready to hit the road. One of the good things about post-com is that I get to cut out all of the loading time, because if there were loading times, I would be talking through them, and I didn't do so in this case. And so, after a super long plane ride and a super long bus ride, we finally arrived in the land of Kitakami. And worry not, my dear friends, because even in this land of Kitakami, this game still looks and runs like complete ass. We get a small glance of the area that we're going to be exploring and stuff like that, and the town that we're going to be visiting, but before we can enjoy even a moment of that, one of our classmates gets kinda sick. So of course, naturally, I am handpicked to run right up to the town nearby to let them know that one of us is sick and that we need help, I guess? I don't know what the plan was with that. But as you can see from the gameplay here, I immediately ignored that direct order and started catching Pokemon around the area. Probably did that for a solid like 5-10 minutes, so probably just gonna go ahead and skip past all that because I'm just catching Pokemon we already know and love. I will say though, that music is uber good. So after catching pretty much every Pokemon in the area, I decided to go ahead and actually progress with the story because I am recording. So I did that. I was immediately introduced to the siblings, Carmine and Kiaran, and they were not what I expected. For one thing, Carmen is tall as hell. She's also a lot, what's the word I'm looking for here? Goofier than I expected. I kind of expected her to have this like cold, like calming presence that kind of constantly got annoyed with the presence of outsiders and stuff like that. But in all honesty, she's just more like a bratty, like older sister. What was that line? What the hell? Anyway, the first thing that she does is immediately challenge you to a battle, which will come as to no surprise because she comes from Blueberry Academy, an academy which focuses on battling. Much like the situation in Sword and Shield, the DLC actually scales with you depending on how far you are in the game. So, while she does have like first form Pokemon and stuff like that, they're actually pretty high leveled, so be careful. I had level 100 Pokemon on deck with me the entire time, so there was nothing to worry about. However, I did try to tune into the music, and let me tell you, her battle theme might be my favorite theme in this entire DLC. So I proceeded to embarrass her in front of her entire town, and she got angry about it. But of course, she had to acknowledge that I'm the stronger trainer and that she had to let me into town because she literally had no choice. Before we could finish our conversation, an older gentleman comes up and scares them away, only for us to find out that this is the caretaker. He's informed that one of our members fell ill, and before we could even get into the building, he runs over, grabs literally our entire class, and runs up. It was incredibly quick. That shouldn't even be possible. Whatever. Either way, no time lost. It is what it is. Everybody gets introduced to the community center, and we make our way inside because this is where we're going to be staying during our time in Kitakami. First thing I noticed immediately was that this place has gender-neutral restrooms, so you already know that we're in for a splendid stay here at Kitakami Island. The next morning, they have it set up so that we need to go in pairs to explore the island, so naturally, I'm drawn towards the siblings. Carmen is being somewhat of an ass, so we end up pairing with her little brother. And of course, because he's also from Blueberry Academy, just like his sister, he also wants to battle me. I promptly kicked him right in his spine, and then we actually got on with our assignment to go find all of the signs that are located around Kitakami. Or at the very least, that was the original plan until I got distracted by two very specific things. One of them being the Roto Stick, which allows me to take selfies even farther away. There's no way I'm not taking a fire-ass picture with this ability on deck. The second thing being one of the best things that this game has ever graced my eyes with. Perrine. You remember this guy right here? Yeah, this is his great-great-great-great-great-great-great-granddaughter. She's a roaming photographer that's made her most recent stop in Kitakami. Before you can participate in her side quests though, you have to have at least 150 Pokemon registered in the Kitakami Pokédex. Now the good news is, if you finish the original Paldean Pokédex, you already have 100 Pokemon logged in on the Kitakami Pokédex. Meaning all you gotta do is capture about 50 of the Pokemon that are available on the island and you are good to go. So obviously I'm trying to please Miss Perrine, so I needed to get right to work. After a ton of catching, evolving, organizing, and raid battles, I finally got on with the story. We learned the story of the Ogre, the Loyal Three, and the villagers, and we took our picture in front of the sign. In reality, it was probably supposed to be a very short walk up this hill, but I got so distracted it took me well over an hour, and I cut out all of that recording, because I didn't realize how long I was recording just doing raids and catching more Pokemon. I forgot how easy it is to get sucked into this game like that, despite all of its issues. We managed to find the second sign, got a little more story regarding the Loyal Three and the ogre that they wrestled the masks away from, apparently. Took another absolutely adorable picture with our new friend Kieran, and then he started to tell me something, but my controller died, so I got a little distracted. Apparently, homeboy wanted to go visit the dreaded den, which is allegedly where the ogre has been staying all this time. Unfortunately though, he made the grave mistake of asking a Pokemon trainer with a new Pokédex that's unfilled to go up a giant hill with a bunch of Pokemon wandering around. That's his fault, not mine. After another solid, distracting hour, I finally made my way up the right way to meet up with Kieran and find the den. Kieran figures that the best way to probably get the ogre's attention is by battling in front of its cave. Obviously, this idea did not work out very well because this was not a battle, it was a slaughter fest. We went inside the cave, it was empty, dark, damp, and cramped, so we made our way back out and it was already time to skedaddle along because the sun was already down. We also had to get a little hustle and bustle because apparently tonight was the night of the Festival of Masks. We made our way back to Kieran's place to meet his grandparents, who graciously decided to set me up with a jean bay. I'm gonna have to assume we just dropped bare butt ass naked outside to change into this jean bay and fix up my hair, and I've gotta say, not a huge fan of this look, at all. Apparently my looks were so off-putting that it put Carmine off too. Obviously, it would make sense that we would take masks to the Festival of Masks. However, when we rolled up to the shed, there was only two, which, you know, kind of makes sense considering the fact that I never lived here. These aren't my grandparents. So naturally, it's a perfect time for a battle. She sends out more Pico, and it's time for me to send out Zera, the god. I noticed that her team has that new Sinistea line or something like that. I don't know what the deal is with that. Maybe I just have to get a Sinistea and like give it an item or something like that. I never figured out how to get this thing, but I kind of want it. It's grown on me a little bit design-wise. Okay, so you actually need to get admitted somewhere. Anyway, her booty got booted, and my Corphish evolved into a Crawdaunt. She gets a head start toward the festival to make sure that we don't make it there before her. Then Kieran goes ahead and tells us that she's actually just kind of a tsundere, because she was actually going out of her way to look for another mask for us. Just say you have a crush on me, bro. Just tell me that. It's fine. Can't reciprocate that because Perrine is right there, but you know, it's cute. So we show up to the festival, and it's kinda poppin'. Get it? Cause there's actual poppin'. No, this is kind of like when you and the homies go to a random party and you walk in and it is not poppin' like you think it is. You know what's funny? I say that like it's relatable, but I don't actually go to parties. So then we're finally allowed to look around, go to a couple stalls, buy a couple meals, maybe some souvenirs and stuff like that. We follow Kieran to a couple of stalls just to see what he's up to. There's this local weirdo just shushing people from this random corner. Don't interact unless you must. I'll admit, I got hella lost looking for this damn kid, but I finally spotted him over at this counter over here. Then they grabbed me by my neck and chucked me booty first into this minigame that they were advertising that I'd completely forgotten about up until this point. And let me tell you, this minigame is not good. It's not fun, it's not well designed, and it's obviously not well optimized at all because, my god, this game was not meant to take on something like this. If we had like a faster bike and maybe some more obstacles or something like that, then maybe it would be fun, but nope, it's just ram into stuff and bring it back. What is fun about this? After successfully beating Carmine's high score, they give me a prize, the Experience Charm, which gives your Pokemon even more experience. What do we need that for? That's so busted. You know what that is? It's literally just a key item version of a Lucky Egg. And now anybody could just get it at the beginning of any of their playthroughs. Jesus Christ. So anyhow, this kid looks lost, so naturally it's up to me to follow it. Excuse me, where in the hell is my— oh, this obviously is not a child prompt. All of a sudden, Carmine's feeling real chatty and scares the poor Pokemon away. And then, all of a sudden, an actual cutscene happens where it gets scared and drops its mask down the stairs. Why do we not have more cutscenes that look like this? My god. And to be completely honest with you, I was incredibly shocked because this Pokemon is actually adorable. I had absolutely no opinion on this thing when we first saw it, but seeing it in this cutscene after it dropped its mask, Yeah, no, she has a really cute design. Sue me. Suddenly, Kieran shows up and starts asking questions. However, Carmine shuts us down before we can answer any of the poor boy's questions. So naturally, like any quiet, shy, and possibly bullied child, he came to the conclusion that we were talking trash about him. And she just let him believe that. You are a terrible older sibling for that. Nah, but in reality, she just wanted to keep him from doing anything drastic, which to an extent, I can totally understand. So, we decided to keep quiet for now. Next morning, bright and early, and she's there to meet and greet us. What? Girl, you're clinically insane. What is wrong with you? I need an adult. She wanted us to go back to her grandpa's place so that we could take the mask to him so he could fix it up. However, I needed to get out of that dripless outfit and back into my other dripless outfit. Problem was, I couldn't change my hair on the fly, and I completely forgot about that. Tried putting on hats and stuff like that, did not work. So I decided to run with the haircut for just a little longer. Bro's just standing there posted up outside, so we go up there to make some light conversation. Poor Kieran, immediately after waking up and wanting to go finish our assignment, is immediately ostracized and told to go somewhere else. This boy really got the short end of the stick this week. That's crazy. After handing Grandpappy the Teal Mask, he decides to go ahead and tell us the true story revolving the ogre, the village, and the Loyal Three. Turns out that the ogre is actually just a traveler from a long time ago that came through with his buddy, and they got ostracized from the village because of how they looked. The mask maker, who's allegedly Carmine and Kieran's ancestor, made masks for the two travelers so that they could visit the village in peace. They slid through, dripped out of their minds, and they became really popular with the villagers and a lot of other people around the world. Especially these three sneaky ass Pokemon. They apparently ran up on Homeboy, jumped him, took his masks, left him for dead, and left poor Ogerpon all alone with one mask. Ogerpon was so pissed that it went down to the village and clobbered all three of them on her own. Obviously, the villagers had absolutely no context, so they buried the Loyal Three and ostracized poor Ogerpon all the way up the mountain. Now with the true story, we need to get the Teal Mask nice and fixed up for Ogerpon so we can give it back to her up in the mountain. But to keep Kieran from getting suspicious, I need to continue with my orienteering mission. Obviously, Bro was not buying any of our BS, but we decided to try and play it off anyway. Excuse me for a moment while I catch a couple Pokemon, don't mind me. We get to the sign and Bro immediately wants to battle us. No surprise there. Bing, bang, bop, he's done like dinner. Bro was so pissed about the L he just took that he clenched his fist outside of a fully animated cutscene. That's anger. I'll be honest here, low-key did not really pay attention to the last sign here because it was obviously irrelevant because it was all a lie. But it is very neat that they were able to fit so many words on such a little sign. On the way back to the inn, I decided to do a little Pokédex work so I could get that side quest from Perrine. Wheezing here actually ended up being my 150th. I was actually planning on making a visit to Homegirl, however, it was storming out, so I figured best save it for another day. Woke up and it was still hella storming outside, so I decided to just go ahead and continue with the main missions. I'm not meeting with Perrine under anything less than pristine weather conditions. Carmine tells us that in order to fix Ogerpon's mask, we need to go get something called a crystal cluster. After shunning Lil Bro one more time, we decide to go and get our crystal cluster. I finally got my hairdo fixed and we made our way to the crystal pool. This place definitely had the potential to be one of the prettiest places in the franchise, however, it's ugly and it lags, so not even close. After conversing about how we're gonna dive down and get the crystal cluster, a random Milotic pops out and decides to attack us. Which is weird because Milotic of all Pokemon seems like it would be one of the nicer ones, you know what I mean? But hey, whatever, if you want the smoke, you can have it. After promptly handing out the smoke, it conveniently dropped exactly what we needed. Weirdly enough, Miss Briar here was just standing around watching everything happen, and she wanted to investigate the situation out here for whatever reason. We will be talking about this. We get back to hand over the cluster only to find out that Kieran ran off with the Teal Mask. When we get there, we find out that Bro is rightfully pissed about leaving him out of everything. And of course, Bro wants another battle for me to get the mask back from him. I oblige and play along. Because I don't have a damn choice. Now I gotta ask, do these people sleep? Because how are their teams getting bigger and their Pokemon stronger when they have virtually no time to do so? Something ain't adding up. Either way, had no real choice but to pop him right in the mouth one more again, and he gave me the mask back. His actions are so weird it had even Carmine acting strange. She's apologizing to me for him! Damn. Is that character development? I don't even know. After that, though, we get yet another cutscene of the Loyal 3 waking up from their graves. Pokemon is getting darker, and I kind of like that. I want them to get weird like this, because this was an awesome little cutscene. Look at these 3 assholes, bro. They're so smug. And yet, I enjoy their presence and designs. I love their energy. Obviously, since they've been sleeping for the better part of probably a couple hundred years or something by now, they're a little confused, so they're looking at Carmine like, what's the good word, girl? And she doesn't know either. So they go ahead and start formulating plans and whatnot. I don't ever think I've seen Pokemon do the thing like in cartoons where they huddle around and start formulating their own plan in whispers. That is crazy. Love that for them. Because we're actually semi-smart cookies, we came to the conclusion pretty quickly that these 3 wanted their masks back. The first place that they went to was Kitakami Hall. Since I'm allegedly the super strong trainer, Carmine tasked me with going up to Ogerpon's den to protect her while she goes back to her grandpa to get her mask fixed. I wasted not even a single second because there was no way I was letting them gang up on Homegirl like that. I was not with that. Y'all getting the smoke right here, right now. I guess Monkey Dory drew the short straw because that's who I ended up fighting first. I had absolutely no idea what typing this thing was, but obviously Caesar was enough to handle it, so we ride. Kieran showed up to make it an even match, but they got too scared and started running away. Wimps. We figured that the next best task would be to get Ogerpon all of her masks back. First order of business was to go back to town and see what kind of gossip was afloat regarding the Loyal 3 so we could get a handle on their location. Well, at the very least, that was their plan. Mine was to go ahead and visit my girl Perrine, because I had finally done everything I needed to do regarding my Pokédex. I made sure I did everything that I needed to do around town so that my main mission wasn't located here anymore, so that I could go back to Perrine and do what I gotta do. She needed to assess my battle skills to see if I'd be a good enough partner, and I happily obliged. Can't lie though, really wasn't that much work to do because she only had 2 Pokemon on her, so, you know, made quick work of that. After properly assessing me, she finally admits that she's on the hunt for something called the Blood Moon Beast, the edgiest nickname I have ever heard for a Pokemon. Apparently, this is the nickname of an Ursaluna that's been lurking around the Timeless Woods. She wants to get a good picture of it, but this thing is big and tough, and she's not much of a paddler, so she's leaving that part to me. No worries, I'll protect you. On the way over there, I decided I might as well see what I'm getting into and decided to take on one of the lousy 3, starting with Pheasantipity. However, I quickly learned that Pheasantipity is bitch built because it ran away from me into a cave. And I don't think I need to tell you why that's an obvious problem for me. Anyhow, we caught that ass lacking outside, so it's time for us to battle. However, we did quickly notice that this thing was much bigger than before. That went unexplained, by the way. Never got an explanation as to why it got bigger, but whatever. At the time of me recording this gameplay, I had absolutely no clue what typing Pheasantipity was. However, because it was Poison Fairy, Caesar ironically ended up being a perfect counter. Also, have I ever mentioned that any move that uses the flash step animation is probably amongst my favorites? Because Iron Head, mwah, I love using that move. I can't lie, a part of me was really hoping that after we battled these Pokemon, we would just get the chance to catch them, but of course not. They would never make it that easy. Anyway, we finished it off and took an adorable picture with Ogerpon. After dealing with that, since I was in the area, I decided that I would go over and help Perrine out. But she was really invested in her picture taking, so I just let her do her thing, because of course I know a thing or two about being passionate and invested in my work. After doing what she was doing, she decided to go ahead and show me what it would look like on a foggy night when we finally spot the Blood Moon Beast. My god, that is terrifying. However, a random Ariados decided to go ahead and interrupt our conversation. Me and Growlithe were not having it. We pummeled that thing in like 30 seconds, so it was time to get back to work. First order of business was to wait around until nightfall, so she set up this adorable tent so that we could wait until the fog rolled in. Nighttime rolled around and it was conveniently foggy, so it was time to begin our survey. Before we could pinpoint the location of the Blood Moon Beast, we had to pinpoint all of the Pokemon that were already present in the forest, so we had to get pictures of all of them just chilling in their natural habitat. This right here is how you do a mini game. It was fun, it was also calm and relaxing, and it was also intriguing to try and find all of these Pokemon just doing what they do and seeing what Perrine says about them. However, I think what really helped top everything off for me was something that I wasn't expecting. Do you hear this? Yeah, that's something I definitely wasn't expecting. They ripped the music right from Pokemon Legends, the Eternal Forest theme of all things. My god, I was pleased. Now, I will be completely transparent with you. It did take me quite some time to find all of these Pokemon because, frankly, they were a little too well hidden, but, you know, it all worked out in the end. Specifically, this Volbeat here gave me problems because it kept noticing me and running away. Oh, jackass. We had to wait a minute for all the photos to get processed, but once it was done, it immediately pinged the Blood Moon Beast. Once we got into position, bro rolled right up on us, and he was ready to brawl. And I gotta say, this is one of the coolest Pokemon designs I have ever seen. I love Blood Moon Beast Ursaluna. My goodness. Bro was not a big fan of that camera flash, so yeah, it was time to box. We put the paws up. But also, listen to that music! It wasn't until this specific moment that I realized that this entire side quest was a nod to Pokemon Legends. I am so happy about that. Fun fact, during this, I also had no idea what typing Ursaluna was, so I was just praying that it had its same normal type counterpart as its previous evolution. It definitely did, but it still was not going down anywhere near easy. It actually managed to hit me with a pretty damn good high roll Blood Moon and actually O-code my Caesar. That was the first time in this DLC that a Pokemon had fainted for me. This was thrilling. However, now that I knew what it was weak to, it stood no chance against my Annihilate. One solid close combat and it was done like dinner. Ironically, this side quest did precisely what I wanted the main missions to do, and allowed me to catch this Blood Moon Beast after I beat it, treating it kind of like a raid battle. This thing's design is absolute heat. I decided to go ahead and name it Duma, and it went directly on my team. For some reason, Perrine was shocked that just me and my Pokemon were enough to handle the Blood Moon Beast. Either way, we got the photos that she needed, so we decided to go ahead and call it a day. Everything was finally finished, and she was kind of feeling a little more positive about taking pictures, a little more motivated, a feeling I relate to all too well. Jesus H. Christ, this thing is enormous. On my way to take care of Okidogi, I audibly gasped once I spotted this shiny Nosepass just chilling out in the wild. I didn't want to risk hitting it, so I started throwing balls immediately. Thankfully though, the first Ultra Ball was enough to do it in. With a crit capture. Worked out beautifully. I did heavily consider putting it on my current team, however, I used up a lot of my candies in just trying to do this side quest with Perrine, so I decided I would just put it in the box with all my other shinies for now, and I would get back to them another day. So after saving like 6 times, because I don't trust this busted ass game, we finally went on to take down Okidogi, which, oh my god, this man was ginormous. Are you kidding me? Not that it mattered too much because we had big man Duma on the squad ready to box. Oh my god. Okay, fine, I guess. Whatever. It just wasn't Duma's time. This thing pissed me off after killing Duma, so I went overkill mode and set up a freaking Psychic Terrain and one-shot it with an expanding force. Bro got all pissy and ran off, and so with that we got our second mask. I figured that there was no more time to waste, so I immediately made my way over to go handle Munkidori. Bro just sat there and got super long. Decided to give Duma a chance to redeem himself from the last battle because Dog never even got a chance to start fighting. For some reason though, these things really love landing crits on Duma. I don't understand. After a long and stressful back and forth, Morpeko landed the last attack with Lash Out and killed it. And now, with Munkidori out of the way, we finally had access to all 3 of Ogerpon's masks. Not too much unlike a jump scare, Kieran pops out of nowhere and commands us to bring Ogerpon back to the village. I'll be honest, bro's starting to get a little weird. He's scaring me just a little bit. Anyways, we get back and surprise, surprise, the villagers want to apologize for bullying Ogerpon into the mountains for their entire lives. As they should. Look at this precious bean. I was in town, so I figured I may as well pay one last visit to Perrine while I'm here. It turns out that after she got all of the photos developed, all of the pictures came out blurry and stuff because she was just a little too excited about the battle. However, she's enjoying them anyway. It wasn't until now that she finally asks us for our name, because I didn't even realize up until this point that she had been calling us Kiddo. After, giving her the name of her hero, she actually reintroduces herself as somebody who loves photography. And honestly, gotta love that for her. She also just kind of casually hands over this Growlithe baby sibling, so, we have that now. And so we are forced to say our goodbyes. I pray to Shinx that I see this character again, cause my goodness. And so it was time to get Ogerpon home, but of course, she didn't want to say goodbye to me just yet. And of course, because it chose me, Kieran got jealous. So yet again, it was time to battle. However, the energy was just a little different this time. I truly did do everything in my power to give Duma a chance to shine during some of these battles, but he just kept getting the short end of the stick. A shift tree, bro? Where did bro get a shift tree from? He was with us 90% of the time. Whatever. Bro was definitely putting up more of a fight now than ever before, so I actually was real strategic with it. I say that, but in reality, I didn't have to think that hard. This man really did get that 3rd gen remake Wally treatment. Just listen to his theme. I really do like Kieran's character, even if he did not go in a direction I expected whatsoever. Bro was still surprised that he couldn't beat me. He was pissed, slamming the ground and everything, but, he took it with grace, so it's something. But now, of course, for some reason, it was time to show Ogerpon our true strength. She whipped out that fire mask, so that meant it was time to get to work. I'll be completely honest with you guys. I didn't really think all that much of Ogerpon until I participated in this battle right here, because terrestrializing masks? That is badass. It wasn't necessarily a hard battle by any means, but you know what? She did not go down easy. Something I also didn't realize until I used her in battle, she literally has a club that she fights with. That is so sick. After catching Ogerpon, I immediately put her on my team, and I nicknamed her Ponyo, because all of her dialogue throughout the entirety of the game was Ponyo. So, I thought that was kind of obvious. Carmine was impressed with my skills. Kieran, not so much. I gotta say, it was such whiplash to see these two characters completely flip on me like that, because she's just talking to me like a regular person now, a human being. Also, bro's a little petty because I got more attention from a girl than he did. I mean, seriously, what is this 180? Because all of a sudden she's telling me not to feel guilty about something that happened to her brother? Alright, cool, I guess. I really gotta sit down one of these days and process my thoughts on this character, because I like her, but her character is just so jumpy. For example, wanting to battle me now that I have Ogerpon. Good lord. Her first mistake was actually sending out that Mariana. Why do you still have this thing on your team? That Pokemon is dog doo-doo. No pun intended. Once again, of course, this was not a crazy battle by any means, but I will say it was fun fighting against her evolved team like this. I also find it very interesting that she has Morpeko as a Pokemon on her team, because Morpeko kind of weirdly reflects her as a character as well, but the thing is, we already have a character that kind of utilizes Morpeko as their character arc, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, I really have to sit on this. Before the battle started, I actually acknowledged her request and put Ponyo on my team. But here's the thing, I was not paying any attention to her team throughout this playthrough, so I had no idea that her last Pokemon was going to be a Ninetales. It was legitimate coincidence and pure luck that I had the water mask on. Nothing more, nothing less. After the battle ended, she was probably getting ready to tell me how massive her crush was on me, but before she could finish, we got interrupted by my phone. It was time. Everybody was getting called back to the community center. Our trip was over. Actually, our trip was just fine. Carmine and Kieran had to return early to Blueberry Academy. Carmine steps up to speak on behalf of Kieran and actually talks a lot about her development when it comes to warming up to outsiders. However, it was me most of all that really taught her what it means to actually make some friends. I rescind my earlier statement. I like her character. She made it very clear that we would be seeing her again, most likely in part 2 of the DLC. On the other hand, Kieran was nowhere to be found. I don't know where bro was that entire time, but bro was not having it. He needed to get stronger and he needed to do it now. He needed to do it before my ass pops up in part 2. And you know what? If he does truly get stronger like that, this is gonna be a doozy. I'm really looking forward to whatever's going on here. Cause look, he puts his hair back. And he's talking about me, bro. And after all that, it fades to black and we get the Across the Spider-Verse treatment. To be continued. Wow. And so ended the story portion of the DLC. But I wasn't completely done yet. Didn't really take much of a rocket scientist to figure out that all of the legendaries were probably where we fought them originally, so I went to do exactly that. Monkey Dory wasn't too much of a problem overall, only took about like 10, maybe 20 Pokeballs. However, that future sight was getting pretty irritating to deal with. Bro was only lucky enough to land so many future sights because I was determined that the next ball would always catch him. And it practically never did. I went through at least 3 damn Pokemon because of that freaking future sight. God. However, after some dreams, a prayer, and a random great ball, I finally managed to catch the damn thing. So instead of actually paying attention to the dialogue in some areas, I made the unfortunate decision that that island of Kitakami had no general store, so I flew all the way back to Paldea just to stock up on like Ultra Balls and potions and stuff like that, so yeah, that's my bad. But it's not really about how you get them, it's how you use them. And next up on my hunt was Okidogi. The only thing that was really annoying about Okidogi was its ability, Toxic Chain, which poisoned me a lot every single time it used like a physical move, so I had to deal with that quite often. Ponyo held herself pretty well against the opponent here, but it got annoying heal spamming all the time, so I decided to just switch over to Asya. Thankfully, Okidogi went down without too much of a fight, so bingo bango. I'm really glad that I went after Pheasantipity last, because my god, this one was the worst, by a mile. I heavily recommend bringing somebody with the ability Own Tempo and somebody that has Heal Block, because this thing was just spamming Swagger and Flatter, and I legitimately just could not get a decent hit in. I mentioned Heal Block because otherwise this thing has Roost, and the 1 or 2 times that you will manage to hit it, it'll just heal itself back up. After wearing down all of its moves for like 20 minutes, I finally got this thing to stay in an Ultra Ball. Thank God. And with that, my personal journey was complete. I got all the legendaries, I got a lot of the Pokemon in the area, I finished the story. All I had to do left, really, was finish the Pokédex here, and at the time, I wasn't really sure that that was worth it. I have since found out what the reward is, and I'm still leaning towards not really all that worth it. Regardless though, I did have a phenomenal time in Kitakami, catching all these Pokemon, learning about all these different characters and whatnot, the history of this land. It was a good time. I even got a shiny out of it. That's awesome. I really truly do hope that all of the characters that we met here return at a later date besides just part 2 of the DLC, but if we are talking about part 2 of the DLC, I already know that Carmine and Kieran are going to be back, but that doesn't guarantee anything for Perrine, so, you know, maybe do us a favor, you know what I'm saying, Game Freak, maybe bring Perrine back, maybe she wants to take pictures of some real battles out there in Blueberry Academy, who knows. But that just about does it for my entire journey of Kitakami. I think I've yammered on long enough. This video is already 3 days late as is, and I still need to get to all the editing that I can't even guarantee that I'm gonna finish in a decent time. But I'm gonna try anyway. But, you know, by the time this is out, why don't you go ahead and do me that quick favor and tell me what you guys thought of the DLC. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I am always gonna be down there with you guys. But with that, it truly is skedaddle o'clock, so I'm gonna go ahead and do just that. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm Gonzo. Thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!